Hi, I'm Melissa Chan. Thanks for joining us both online and in person. We are in conversation with Dolkun Isa, President of World Uyghur Congress. Welcome to RightsCon.
Thank you.
A few housekeeping notes. Post your questions online. This is why I have my laptop here. I'll be posting and looking, not posting, I'll be looking at your posts, your questions on Slido. And we don't have a Q&A section at the end. I'll just keep glancing. So if we're talking about something and you want to just jump in with a question, just do it. I will keep my eye on it. So with that, I want to just introduce you just a little bit more to our audience. You were born in Aksu, in what the Chinese government calls Xinjiang, and what many Uyghurs consider East Turkestan. You were educated as a physicist in China and studied English and Turkish in Beijing, and very quickly, because of your free thinking, ran into trouble with the Chinese government. And eventually, I mean, just to make a long story short, you had to leave and then end up in Turkey and then onward to Europe, where you have worked to advocate for the human rights of the Uyghur people, to bring attention to the mass detention of Uyghurs and other minorities in China that have been documented by many journalists in recent years. And of course, you're also the author of the China Freedom Trap, so we'll be talking about that as well. Because this is RightsCon and we look at the intersection of human rights and technology, can you just give us an idea of the kind of surveillance people in China are experiencing these days, the Uyghurs?
You know, it's China's government since the end of 2016 and the beginning of 2017 locked down more than 3 million Uyghur and the Kazakh as Turkish-speaking people in the 21st century concentration camp. Before this opening of the concentration camp, China's government started 2014, 2015, testing all surveillance technology, particularly facial recognitions and voice recognition, this technology, testing for the Uyghurs in East Turkestan. Then, and more than 11 million people's DNA test, DNA example. Then surveillance all Uyghurs. The Chinese government not only used the advantage of the technology today to use the surveillance Uyghurs, but also same time in person, in the classic way, and plus is digital technology. And 2014, before turn into surveillance technology and surveillance system in Turkestan to the Uyghurs, China and use and the classic way and use the in-person surveillance system. For example, in Urumqi, capital of Turkestan, Urumqi, 2016 August, Qing Qianguo, who was the former party secretary of Tibet.
Yes.
He appointed party secretary in Urumqi, in Turkestan. Then he whole region turned into opener prison. For example, in Urumqi, only one city, he set up 960 checkpoint.
All over the city, so going from one neighborhood to another.
Of course.
And this Chinese party official had been in Tibet previously, so he took what he learned in terms of surveilling the Tibetans, and then he was transferred to do the same and more.
He used his experience from Tibet, then used in East Turkestan. You know? So that's why not only from one city to another city, even one city, each, it is mean 960 checkpoint, it is mean every 200-300 meter one checkpoint.
I mean, I've been to Urumqi. It's 960 is a lot of checkpoints in that city.
Yes. So then later, and that since 2016, 2017, Chinese government testing surveillance technology, digital technology. Then now is China remove all the checkpoint. Only the checkpoint exists from the one city to another city, but in the city area, nearly no checkpoint because every area, every apartment, every citizen in front, go out, into the door, out door, this surveillance by the digital technology. So it is mean Chinese government already turned whole the region, whole East Turkestan, open air prison. Surveillance everyone, every moment. And besides 2017 Chinese government also, they are reported more than 1 million Chinese Communist Party cadres to the Uyghur family.
Cadres, yeah.
Cadres,
yeah.
yes. And sent to the Uyghur family and monitoring you 24 hours.
So you have a situation where the Chinese government is using techno surveillance combined with old-fashioned 20th
Exactly.
century human surveillance, and
Exactly.
also that a Soviet model, the old Chinese communist model, many people might have read about it and might even be familiar with, which is, neighbors informing on each other, keeping, a pair of eyes and looking and following people.
Yes, yes. What 24? You monitor 24. You're sleeping together, same bed, and what do you eat? What did you do? Every moment, even your emotion as well,
Right.
and the monitoring and the yes, monitoring every time.
So I also then want to expand beyond the borders of China and ask about surveillance of Uyghurs outside of China, because it seems like the Chinese state is doing that as well. So you live in which country?
I'm living in Germany.
Right.
Yes.
And have you had experiences where you feel like someone is following you, or?
Well, yes, it is one of the good example of the China's transnational repression against Uyghurs and particularly Uyghur activists. Despite of the German citizen, I had faced to deported to China. I was feeling since the 26 years, I was feeling not feeling free. Everywhere I'm going, I can see the sign of the Chinese long arm. So for so many country border, I was detained. For example, 2009, when I was invited one of the international human rights conference, I was invited. I went to the South Korea. When I entered the border, police stopped me, and in the 4 days, I had faced to nearly deported to China, despite the German citizen. Yeah, and because of the precious State Department, German Foreign Ministry, European Union, very, very last month, I was deported to Germany.
And you're just one case. I mean, just in case people don't know, I mean, there is a lot of pressure that the Chinese government places on other nations to deport Uyghurs within their boundaries and borders. And we've seen cases where Uyghurs have been successfully deported back to China and pretty much never heard from again.
Yes, so many international human rights organizations like Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch reported, even Uyghur Human Rights Project last year published one report. So far is documented case. Undocumented case we don't know because some country is hiding it, secret is deported. More than 1,100 Uyghurs refugees deported different of country because of Chinese request to China.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And you talk about surveillance, transnational surveillance. Do you worry about your digital safety, your phone? How often do you get your phone checked to make sure there's no surveillance tools that have been, added somehow?
Yeah, China is for example, I'm president of World Uyghur Congress. My organization is website time to time hacked. It is very usual, this issue. Even sometimes we couldn't find any hosted domain company because of any company hosted for our domain. Then immediately so many millions of attacked these companies, and company asked, no, we cannot host for you. We had really difficult to find as a hosting company as well.
It's too costly for hosting companies in democracies to support you.
Yes. So, and then of course, and all email surveillance and email attack, and also and the hack attack on telephone, mobile phone, and China is today is really use technology trying to and influence daily life. Mobile phone, home telephone. Sometimes 2009 is Ürümqi uprising was happening at that time. My mobile phone, my home phone, and my office phone, and in the ringing, non-stop ringing. You pick up the telephone, no one pick up. Wrong, couldn't walk. Even we reported to telecom company, they are searching, but they couldn't find the way. And we reported German police as well. And you have to protect us, because which phone is real phone, which phone is fake phone, non-stop ringing 24. That's why we take out the
So
line.
you were being harassed during that time, even though you were in Germany. Now, in terms of surveillance, I just want to ask you, there are a lot of surveillance cameras in London, right? There are a lot of surveillance cameras in New York City. What makes surveillance in China with the same technologies different?
Of course, in Europe, London, rest of the world, there is a lot of surveillance camera. But this surveillance camera is protecting the right of the civilian. And, because security, because of your safety. But in China, completely the opposite. China is surveillance technology, surveillance camera monitoring your movement. Particularly in Uzbekistan, this surveillance camera recognized in some special tool, special software, recognize ethnicity. Look at your eyes and horn. This is the Uyghurs or Kazakh. Then is the following you. So that's why China. This is the big difference.
I mean, there are some activists who are concerned about the abuse of surveillance cameras in Western countries too. I mean, I just want to highlight that because I'm sure there will be people who will point that out. Can you talk to us about your book? Why is the book titled The China Freedom Trap?
Yes, it is a good question. Of course, my book is a Freedom Trap in China. Why? Because as I said at the beginning, I'm a German citizen. I went to exile 1994. Since 29 years, I'm in the exile. Since 1996, I'm living in Germany. I'm seeking political asylum. Since 2006, I'm the German citizen. But despite of the German citizen, I was not feeling free. Because as I said at the beginning, I detained so many country border. All my experience in the book was not happening in authoritarian country. Was not happening in China, was not happening in Central Asia or some other country. Most of them, my experience was happening in the democratic countries. Germany, I was detained in Germany. I was detained in Switzerland, in Geneva, in front of the United Nations. I was detained in the United States even, 2006, when I was arriving. And I was detained also Italy, for example, 2017, and the middle of Europe. This is happening. So this is all my experience was happening in the free world, not authoritarian countries. Yes.
And this is a failure then of democratic states to protect people.
Yeah, it is. It is because, of course, and China trying to blame me as a terrorist, and put my name on the Interpol red notes. And actually, China.
So they've weaponized Interpol.
Yes, weaponized.
Okay.
Misuse Interpol. China misuse all international organizations, unfortunately, particularly misuse Interpol. So 1997, Chinese put my name to the Interpol is criminal and a killer. That time, Chinese government didn't use a label as terrorist to the Uyghur movement, separatist or religious fundamental, something not like. Up September 11 terrorist attack 2001, Chinese government turned the language immediately within one night because we are Muslim. And at that time, Western media and Muslim Islam is a put same territory. Chinese government, how it is good, perfect time. Perfect chance, opportunity to against the Uyghur people. Then within one night, all the Uyghur being terrorists since September 11th.
So the Chinese government took advantage of the United States policy post 9/11,
Yes.
used the language, the same language,
Exactly.
and used it to target your people.
Uyghur. Yes. Then in 2003, and I put my new label, the terrorist. 2003 December, Chinese government issue long list, 11 people, and the 4 Uyghur organization official terrorists.
I mean, but what is your crime? What does the Beijing government say you have done? And what have you really done?
Yeah, for me is before 2011 September terrorist attack, Chinese government blamed me as a killer, and killer and criminal established criminal gang. Up September 11, Chinese government blamed me as a terrorist. Yes.
And all you've been doing is talking about human rights.
Of course, because all my life, I have never killed any chicken, But Chinese government accused me the killer and the terrorist because Chinese government trying to stop my activism. Chinese government doesn't want the Uyghur issue being one of the international issue because as an activist. I'm the pro-democracy leader of the student pro-democracy movement 1980s. So I'm trying to raise awareness. I'm attending international conference, United Nations, different countries. Chinese government really didn't happy for this, and Chinese government used this blame as terrorism, trying to block my activism, and trying to block the Uyghur issue being one of the international issue. Yes, that's why Chinese government trying to use all language, use all capacity, and misuse all international organization, trying to stop me and Uyghur activism.
And you mention a lot of countries you've been to where you've encountered problems. You travel a lot, and you travel a lot because of your advocacy work. And I
Yes.
understand that you've been traveling a lot in South America. Can you
Yes.
tell us a little bit about why you've been traveling in this region?
Well, is so far I traveling, my colleague traveling to the North America, Europe, different of Middle East countries. But in the Latin American country, global source, but not only Latin America, global source, Latin America and then African countries, and the Chinese has strong influences this continent, global source. And last year was October. We have seen clear evidence on this in the UN Human Rights Council. And the Uyghur resolution was filed because 19 countries support China, 17 countries support this resolution on Uyghur resolution. Most of some countries, 19 countries, is a global source. Very few of this country supports this resolution. Most of them silence, abstain, or support China's proposal, China's side. So Latin American country, most of them, member of Human Rights Council, is abstain, and today is abstain. Today is silence of ongoing genocide. It is a complicity of the genocide, So that's why we are traveling to the Latin American country, and because China continually spread fake news, huge misinformation campaign, and some countries they really believe and believe the Chinese propaganda. So that's why we're traveling this country. I'm the victim of this Chinese genocide because my mother died concentration camp. My brother is sentenced to life, and I'm not only the activist, and I'm also victim of today's Chinese genocidal policy. So that's why I and my team visiting the Latin American country. We are meeting, trying to convince Foreign Affairs. Minister of Foreign Affairs, and we had a meeting in the civil society, NGOs, media, lawyer, policymaker. We are raise awareness first. Yes, that is the purpose we are visiting.
There are actually quite a lot of participants from the Global South at RightsCon, and often I do pay attention as a reporter based outside of the United States to hear what the voices of the Global South have to say. And one of the things that seems to me quite tough to square is that many countries in the Global South talk about the need for rights, the need for equity, the need for fair treatment, and at the same time support China. It seems very hypocritical to be talking about human rights and representation. And because of their, frankly, I understand the history of American adventurism. A lot of people are not, do not have positive views of the United States.
Exactly.
But because of the narrative that's been set up of U.S. versus China, if you don't like the United States, then you must be pro-China, which I find illogical and problematic. I mean, it must be very frustrating to deal with so many people speaking from the Global South who are friendly to China and seem to ignore willfully the human rights, the evidence of human rights violations against Uyghurs.
Yeah, so during the Latin American Global South country, we also got some experience because it's a very new area for us. This is a first visit for us. So this trip and provide us to get some experiences, how we can deal with the people. And it is also provide us the opportunity to understand the mentality of the Latin American peoples, government, civil society, what is the different government and civil society. So we got very good experience despite of,
You had a positive experience then.
Yes, we
once you
got
did
positive
engage.
experience.
That's great.
Of course, governments have very close with China. They have all countries have a very close trade relationship with China. Actually, not global source, entire world,
Including
globally,
the United
every country,
States.
even United
Right.
States. Despite United States government and Congress recognize Uyghur genocide, despite still in a lot of business with China. Even United States has Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, still as the business increasing. Yeah, so this is natural, but however, during our visit in Latin America, we have seen there is strong potential, and NGOs, civil society have strong power. They have strong impact. And the media is very independent, because we have seen, when I was in Brazil, São Paulo Blatt have an interview along me. China's embassy calls this newspaper, don't publish this interview, can use this. But they are published, and the next day, Chinese ambassador and published another op-ed against me and our trip. So however, and we are traveling to the Argentina, Chile, this all we have meet a lot of media. Media cover on this, civil society and the bar association, for example, is a very, very, very strong. So we are hopeful. This is the first trip, but we are very successful. Of course, we have to continue. We got some experience. We have to do something. We raise awareness. I believe, and I'm very optimistic. We can find some supporter from the Latin America.
That's great to hear. And also, when you are face to face, I mean, I imagine that most people you met have never met someone who is Uyghur, and when they meet someone for the first time, it becomes no longer an abstract concept, but a real issue.
Yes.
Right, so it's very important to me. There is a question, so I want to ask, someone wants to know, what can civil society activists and organizations do to better support your advocacy on the issue? So how can people in this room help?
Yes, it is a good question. Of course, the people in this room can do a lot for ongoing. Today, Chinese government commit genocide, crime against humanity. So now it is good enough evidence. Uyghur tribunal and have collected 100,000-page document, and camp survivors today in talking about their experience in the concentration camp, experience to the international media. So the people who live in here, human rights activists, can do a lot. Still, a lot of people don't know. Because we don't have such big capacity to travel around the world. For example, Latin America, no Uyghur community, no Uyghur organization.
There are no Uyghur diaspora, in South America.
So that's why we can only help this civil society, so the people who coming from this global source, they can do something. As a human rights defender, the people can do something, raise awareness, talking and write letter to the policymaker, parliament member, pressure to the government, and yes. So, and also another issue today, forced labor is slavery. Slavery
Yes,
work, it is one of the important
Right.
and critical issue among the Uyghur have been faced. So still a lot of people, even they don't know.
Yes.
Today is 25% global cotton textile from Uyghur forced labor. Maybe most of some people don't know. In China, 85% cotton from Uyghur forced labor. So maybe quite a lot of people today wearing the clothes, maybe they don't know, but they are already complicit of the forced labor.
Because most people don't know that a
Yes,
lot of
don't
the
know.
world's cotton for making fabric comes within the borders of China,
Yes.
from the region where you're from.
Yes, exactly. So that's why you should be, before buying something for today, so many electronic, and a lot of products. And is a direct link or indirect link with the forced labor. Should, before buying anything, should be checked. This, because very easy. A World Jewish Watch already and published one database a couple of months ago. If you put the name of the company immediately and show you this company, this product have a direct link with the Uyghur forced labor, then boycott. Don't buying Chinese production. Because if you buying Chinese production, it is the contribution for the Uyghur forced labor. Yeah, so that's why the people who living here, because I have seen a lot of human rights activists, the people, and from different of area. It's a very influential goal, a politician, activist, so they can do something for us after return to origin, home country, and yes, use social media, different of way.
You've talked about what civil society can do. In answer to that question, what can corporations do?
Well, cooperation and then cooperate, and we are very welcome to the Corporate World Uyghur Congress, you know, and some other Uyghur organization, and particularly, unfortunately, we don't have, as I said, an Uyghur community Uyghur organization global source, but it's a United States, Canada, Europe, and different of countries have a Uyghur community. Then I strongly recommend them to cooperate with us. If they need any information, we are happy to provide them, and they organize any event and invited us. We can cooperate with them to raise awareness and testimony. Yes.
But I mean private companies
Yes.
who might be part of the supply chain. What can they do? What do you think you want to see from them?
Yes, private company. No, it is not correct time business as usual. Because it is the happening for the Uyghurs, not human rights violation. You're already beyond the human rights violation. 70 years ago, 75 years ago, during the Holocaust, up to the Holocaust, world promised never again, you know? So, but never again is happening again today. In this context, in this situation, companies should be stopped business with China, we recommend. It is not correct time business as usual, because it's not human rights violation, beyond, because every day people is dying here. So that's why, and the private company, big company, brand, stop business with China. This is the helpful, and other just the condemnation of the Chinese genocidal policy of Uyghurs, or just make statement. It is empty promise playing not major role to stop playing. This is, I believe all company have moral obligation to stop ongoing genocide. All government, country, and the member state of UN have a legal obligation to stop ongoing genocide and the crime against humanity.
And you mentioned, you know, what happened with the Holocaust. A lot of Jewish groups today have been good allies on amplifying this
Yes.
issue. With the remaining time, just a little bit, what are your final thoughts to leave us?
Well, my final message, and I asking the people should be help us stand with Uyghurs today, and should be speaking out, at least first step speaking out and educating the people. We are trying to use our capacity, trying around the world, raise awareness, and asking the people to cooperate with us, stop ongoing genocide. So I'm asking the people should be stand with us and to do something and ongoing genocide, and should not be complicity and partner of the ongoing genocide.
Dolkun Isa, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
And that's all for now. We'll see you later. As always, stay engaged.